notes here. Well, good morning. Thank you very much for that heartfelt introduction. I appreciate that very much, Russ. As he said, I've been an MP now for almost 8 years. I'm a proud New Democrat and a very proud member of the IBW. And I was giving that some thought, actually, just the other day, as I often do. I keep the pair of work boots that I was wearing when I was elected in my office in Ottawa. I didn't bother to clean them before I brought them to Ottawa because I thought they'd serve as a good reminder of what life is like on the job site and why I came to Parliament. I was thinking about that because Pierre Poilievre recently did a video in the airport, and he was really proud to have gotten some dirt on his shoes. He did a job site tour, and I'm not knocking politicians doing job site tours. I think it's good for them to get out and see what it's about, but I thought he made a pretty big deal of getting a little bit of dirt on his shoe, and what he missed was the fact that it's not the dirt itself that we're proud of on our boots, but it's what it represents. It's the fact of us building assets for our communities, and it's the fact of us building futures for our families. That's what the dirt's about. That's a hard thing to pick up in a weekend. You can pick up the dirt, but you can't pick up the full meaning of dirt caked on a boot by touring. You got to really live it, and you got to work it in order to have that sense. I think a better example of a politician that really takes to heart what it means to work with working people and to work with unions is Joe Biden down south. And of course, we've got a lot of great Canadian examples. I'm going to be introducing later the leader of the NDP, Jagmeet Singh, who's a great example of that himself in his own way. But Joe Biden, I think, and particularly as an IBW member, I've been really impressed at the way that he talks about unions, he talks about unionization, he's clear that that's a positive thing, he communicates about the benefits of unionization for workers and the role that the labor movement has played in securing the middle-class standard of life that we're all so proud of and that we're keen to maintain. And so I think he's doing a good job of showing what it means not just to be in the sense that we often get from liberal federal governments, kind of labor neutral, I think I've called it in fact on this stage before, but actually labor positive. Positive about the labor movement and honest about the real meaningful positive contribution that the labor movement makes to the lives of Canadian workers who are fortunate enough to have a union and have done the work to organize and maintain a union in the workplace, but also for so many Canadians that don't have the benefit of a union but nevertheless benefit from the good work that you do in the labor movement in order to raise expectations about working conditions and wages and benefits and pensions. One example, and I know Sean was talking about this earlier, but one of the things that we've been able to push the Liberals into doing, both with the example of President Biden in the United States doing this proactively himself, and also through the Confidence and Supply Agreement, where we agreed not to have an election in order to get certain policy outcomes from the federal government that we believe are in the best interests of working people. One of those things are the labor conditions on the investment tax credits. That wouldn't be there if it weren't for the NDP pushing through the Confidence and Supply Agreement to get that done. What it means is that where you would have organizations or contractors come in to compete not on how well they can do the job, not on the quality of the product, not on the efficiency of the build, but on how little they're willing to pay their workers, that is not going to be allowed if they want to secure public money. And I think it's very important that public funds support good union jobs in Canada, and we're working to make that true. Another way that we've worked to make that true, and I want to give credit to my colleague Charlie Angus, who's been the lead on this file, is the growth fund that's been announced, $15 billion of public capital that will leverage more private capital. We've ensured that there will be 2 seats for labor on the governing committee of that fund, because it's not enough for them to consult, it's not enough for them to listen. You know, and I know, New Democrats know, Jagmeet knows, that labor deserves to be at the table, both because we should be able to protect the interests of the people that you represent, but also because workers and labor leaders have real knowledge about how these projects go, about what it takes to make an infrastructure project successful, and Canadians deserve to have your expertise at that decision-making table, not just on the outside looking in. And that's why we fought so hard, and in the last budget, they announced that there will be 2 seats for labor on the growth fund. We just came through a big national strike of our civil service, and strike action and what it means both to the public but also to workers has been the talk of the town a fair bit. One of the things that we know too often, and especially in the private sector, is that when workers are fighting for a better future for their families and a fair compensation package, employers let other people in through the back door to perform their work while they're out on the picket line. That is wrong. It has always been wrong, and we are finally going to outlaw that practice here in Canada, again, through the Confidence and Supply Agreement, forcing the Liberals to do something that they never would do if it weren't for the NDP holding them over the barrel, and that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to get the job done. The Trades Labour Mobility Tax Credit that was passed in the last budget, again, is something that New Democrats have championed in the House for a long time. We've been very proud to work with our partners in the Canadian building trades and in the labour movement more generally in order to bring that benefit to workers. And we've stood shoulder to shoulder with the Canadian building trades right through that whole process to ensure that workers that have to travel for work, blue-collar workers that have to travel for work, get a similar treatment to white-collar workers that already enjoy those same benefits going to different provinces. And I'll say, I've talked a fair bit about what we've managed to accomplish through an agreement not to cause an election with the governing party, but we've been willing to work with parties on all sides of the House where we can find agreement on issues that move the puck forward for workers. And I would say a perfect example of that is a bill that just got royal assent not that long ago, Bill C-228, which I don't expect everyone to recognize the bill number, but essentially that was a bill to stop pension theft. It's a bill that Scott Duvall, a former colleague of mine and steelworker, championed in his time in Parliament. And in this Parliament, Marilyn Glad, who is an Ontario Conservative MP, tabled the bill. It had some remnants and things that I think were not good from a previous bill by Erin O'Toole, but we were able to work with her to amend that out and have a bill that was largely the bill that Scott Duvall presented, that means that pensioners are going to get priority when a company goes bankrupt. So it's not hedge fund managers, investors, and big banks that get the hard-earned pension of workers, and then workers get whatever scraps are left. Instead, we're going to work to honor the pension promise for workers first and let investors get what's left. That's the right order of things. Should have been done a long time ago. And it's a testament to the willingness of New Democrats not just to work with Liberals, not just to work with Greens, not just to work with Conservatives, but to work with anyone in Parliament that is serious about getting things done for working people. And as long as they're there and we can talk about the policy and we can find agreement on the policy measures, we are willing to put in the work to get the job done for working people, whoever it is we got to work with. We're going to get it done. We got it done on pensions. We're getting it done on anti-scab. We got it done on conditions on public funding for new projects. We're getting it done on the growth fund, and we're going to get it done on a lot more. And it's why we're proud to be in Parliament as the party of working people, working with the other parties where we can to advance that agenda, and a key leader in that fight. And the reason why we've been able to rack up so many wins for working people in the last 12 months is Jagmeet Singh and the leadership that he's provided over 2 minority parliaments now to put the focus on people instead of corporate profits. And I'm really excited to have him here today. It's my job to introduce him, and I'm going to consider this the introduction, Sean. I don't know if the balloons are supposed to fall from the ceiling now, or the confetti is going to get shot from the cannon, or whatever it is these guys have plans can now happen. So thank you all very much for taking some time to listen to me. I hope you enjoy the fireside chat here with Jagmeet and Sean, and have a wonderful conference. Thank you very much.
Daniel, thanks so much.